Welcome back. This is Amy Stevens of AZ Weddings by Amy, Wedding Officiant. In this interview, we have Miranda Madison, who's an event planner. And Miranda, thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to have a conversation about weddings and other events and things that you have within your business. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
So I'm curious. I always like to know how people got started in their industry. So can you take me back to when you got involved as being a wedding or an event planner and kind of those steps?
Yeah. So growing up, so my ethnic background or my heritage is Filipino and Chinese. So growing up, my family always had a gathering and always threw the parties. And I always remember as a little girl helping my mom with these parties, so setting it up and getting the tables and chairs and decor and all the different things. So that was growing up. And then come to college, I ended up earning a golf scholarship to Southern Utah University. So played, Division I golf, which was pretty cool. But at the end of my career, I knew, okay, well, I don't want to go professional, so society and the world kind of just is like, okay, well, you got to go get a 9-to-5 job. So that's what I was getting ready to do. But at the time, I was like, I actually kind of really like event planning. So senior year in college, I ended up taking a events course at the university. And so we were running like concerts and galas and golf tournaments, and just running those events and being a part of them was like, wait, like I actually really like that. Like this is really cool to me. So unbeknownst to me, it was one of those things that I didn't really even know that it was a love of mine until I had took that course. So my fiance now, but boyfriend at the time, was saying, oh, well, you should just go start your own events company. And I was like, that's crazy. Like, why would I do that? But I listened to him. So I ended up starting Miranda Madison Events in college. Still ended up going and getting a nonprofit 9-to-5 job, events coordinator position, but only lasted about 8 months or so. And then after that, jumped right into Miranda Madison Events, went full steam into that. And so that's kind of my story, and I think there aren't a lot, there's a lot more now, but just kind of overall, being a young business owner, entrepreneur is not, as common. And so everyone that I had kind of in my ears, my parents and my mentors and everyone around me, they're like, oh, well, you should just, go and get your job and kind of just, do that whole thing. And I was like, nope, I'm going to go do this. So that's kind of how everything was born. So,
Well, I think that that's so interesting that your drive to start this business while even in college, like I wouldn't have thought of that myself, but that's really incredible. And being able to have clients in a portfolio before you even graduate college, that's pretty
yep.
awesome.
Yeah.
So how long has Miranda Madison Events been going now?
So March of next year, we'll be celebrating 6 years. So we're just
Oh,
over 5 years old. Mm-hmm.
fantastic. And one thing to also note is that when you say we, there is an actual team of people that you have in your business. So can you kind of give us a little bit of an overview about if somebody was to hire you, your business, how does that get handled?
Yeah, so we have about 4 lead planners that handle all of our month of and our smaller events. And then I'll step in more so for like our bigger corporate clients or just fuller packages. So our partial or full planning packages is when I'll step in. And then we have a full team even underneath our lead planners. So we have about 6 girls that assist the leads. So overall, it's been amazing to be able to build and grow this company, to be able to have a team. And we can take multiple events in a night and then also a weekend, but I always had a vision, for the company in this respect, and tapping into, because I started the company so young, and as a woman here soon, kids and family are going to start, that I always made it a goal for myself of I need to grow this company as quickly but then solidly as I can, but I still want the company to run even while like I start to have a family and move off and get married and whatever the next steps of life just may be. So um, that was the main focus of building the team, but it's been really receptive, really well across the board. And we have really strong vendor partnerships as well that also help make that transition pretty smooth. So we've been pretty blessed across the board.
Yeah, and that's an important feature as well, as having that behind the scenes and working with other vendors and making sure that those lines of communication are really strong.
Mm-hmm.
The process then, I want to make sure that the audience understands that an initial phone call would take place. If it's something that they pull up from, here's your website, mirandamadisonevents.com. If they pull up your website, they're going to see the outline of how to get a hold of you,
Mm-hmm.
and then be able to go into those next steps to understand, do you kind of allocate different lead planners to an event? Like, do you know who has stronger points for certain things, or that creative eye?
For sure. And there's some different requests that we do get, so say if someone needs a bilingual planner, we do have a couple of those. Or say if it's one of the venues that we have a strong partnership at, and say if the venue coordinator says, oh, go and request this planner, so we'll make our best efforts to definitely accommodate. But just kind of across the board, I like to keep it pretty even between the girls to kind of, you know, make sure all of their kind of skills stay to where they need to be, especially in the planning field. So,
Oh, that's so true. You don't want to burn them out.
yeah, exactly.
I think that's one thing that a lot of people may think, oh, this is all, beautiful things to do and work with. But I tell you, and I have done event planning in my past history as well.
Uh-huh.
And it becomes very intense, especially that last week.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you can get done in advance, the better off you are. But that week of a
Yeah.
wedding in particular, it's like in my business as an officiant, I always tell my couples, you're writing your own vows. Okay, great. Well, you're going to have those to me a month
Yeah.
in advance of your ceremony. You're not doing them the night before.
No.
Sorry. Been there, done that, and they
Yeah.
never happen. So,
No.
no. Well,
No.
that's awesome. So what are some other types of events that your group handles? You mentioned corporate events.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like 40th, 50th, kind of the milestones. Birthdays are pretty big with us. We've done quite a few of those. We've done some baby showers, bridal showers. Um, we've started to dabble into the corporate market, so that's been a nice transition there. They call it a corporate veil for a reason, so it is a lot harder to get into. Um, but we love, the corporate aspect for sure, because it allows us really to be creative and like pull out all the different stops. And then of course you have a larger budget as well, so that makes it pretty fun. Um, but that is, why we do like to just call ourselves events overall, because we do it all, and we see a lot of crossover too, which is nice. And I know same thing, our I like to call them frienders, at this point, but our friend vendors are also able to, come and set up for these different occasions that we have. So across the board, makes it a nice partnerships for everybody. So
That's wonderful. So
mhm.
I'm curious what you would recommend to a newly engaged couple who has made the decision that they're ready to get their date on the books, to find the venue, would you recommend that they start doing that research beforehand as far as venues are concerned, or talking to an event planner and hand holding the entire time?
So I truly just feel that it just depends on the couple, because some want that hand holding, others are, we got this, we're okay type of thing. But then too, another factor that kind of plays into it is also just budget, so there's a plethora of information, on the internet nowadays. There's a lot of bridal books that can kind of help guide, especially in the early parts of it. So it just really depends overall, I feel like. But for any couple, recently engaged couple, I would just more so lean into your friends and family, maybe, who have been, married and been through the whole process, just because it is a lot. And the internet itself, even though I just did mention, like, oh, go on the internet, it can just be overwhelming also. So I think, I mean, first and foremost, though, is just realistically trying to set a budget. I think that's really a strong piece that some people kind of like put to the wayside, because people don't like to really talk about money, but it's a strong factor, in the whole entire process, because it's going to help you find your vendors, and everything kind of just falls into place from that budget.
So let me ask you this, from speaking about the budget aspect. If parents or other family members are providing support
Mhm.
up front, financially, and I guess I'll just state it as it is.
Yeah.
How much involvement does that other party
Yeah.
have in the planning process? Like, should that be an entire conversation? Should there be a contract set up amongst family members on what
I
they
feel like I feel like there should, or some sort of agreement, because yes, they may be financially supporting, but it's really hard for them to not feel too that, like, it's their day. It gets sticky. That's a sticky one for sure. But I feel like the boundaries for sure need to be set beforehand, or just at least a conversation, because then it'll release some tensions, as the planning process goes. But
well,
I
and as an event planner, sometimes do you find yourself playing mediator,
definitely.
and not just between family, but also between the couple?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. And, we always are saying, well, at the end of the day, it's the bride and groom's decision, and even say if it's between the two of them, we just say usually, like, hey guys, like, don't make this, about the money. Like, you guys are marrying each other, like, just love on each other and just be there for each other, but don't let it drive each other, because it's not worth it. That's not worth it at the end of the day.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, one of the events that we did together, a wedding that we did together, it's a beautiful same-sex couple that we were actually out on the Dolly steamboat, and oh my gracious, what a day. I
Yes.
remember right before the couple actually walked out together. They had been
Mhm.
together for so long, and they had walked out together. And right before they walked out, the boat hit waves, and I
Oh, yeah.
remember, like, bracing myself, and one of the brides said, "I have not had that much to drink. What is happening right now?"
That was a fun one.
It was great. It was beautiful. The weather was gorgeous, and that was a destination wedding as
Mhm.
well. So they had all come in, like, all of their guests,
Mhm.
everybody had come in. The weather was fabulous,
Yeah.
and even the time of the day that the ceremony took place, and then they went back out.
Mhm.
Um, I jumped off the boat, but they went back out and were just out on the water. And I don't know what happened after that, but it was amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's nice to be able to, work with a lot of destination couples, but we like to make it just an easy process across the board. So for some smaller events or just weddings in general, we also like to just make it easy. So there's a lot of times where we can package a lot of things together, and just make it easier across the board for them.
So
I
let's talk about the ease on that one,
Okay.
because I remember standing there before getting out onto the boat waiting for everybody. I was early and was
Yeah.
kind of waiting around, and a bus pulled in. So you had coordinated getting everybody onto a motor coach that was air
Mhm,
conditioned. It was nice. It was a beautiful motor coach.
mhm,
And then everybody arrived at the same time.
mhm,
So, talk about ease. That's one of those perks, hiring an
mhm,
event planner, that they have those contacts and they can create that ease of getting everybody from point A to point B and nobody gets lost.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that couple in specific, on the back side for like invoice side, we had included the bus and the photographer, and your bill was also in that, and decor, and then, of course, our services as well. That it was really easy for them to just say, okay, I'm going to tell my crew, be ready at this time. We're going to get back at this time. And then they just showed up. And then they had a couple meetings with you. And then just, across the board, they just felt like this is the easiest thing ever. We don't have to worry about this, or this, or we have to pay this person, or did we pay that person? And what about this? So I think, that just peace of mind. I know a lot of venues will do it too, because that makes sense on the venue side. But when it's smaller like that and there's small parties, for us it's not a big deal at all.
I'm trying to remember, was there about 30 people?
I was thinking, yeah, like, yeah, about 30.
Think there was about 30 that was there,
Yeah.
and then there was a live musician at that particular
Hmm.
one as well. So,
Hmm.
again, working with an event planner, you don't have to start scoping out all these different components. You just reach out to one person and then say, "This is what I want. This is the look I wanna go for." And if you don't even know the look you wanna go for, you can at least prompt them and give
Yeah.
them more of those questions, like, "What colors do you like? What
Hmm.
textures? What do you what's the
Yeah.
overall vision?" So I think it's important that as newly engaged couples are going into starting to plan for their future together and kicking it off at their wedding, it's a big deal, and it's that time to make it about themselves
Mhm.
and not necessarily about the assumption of what others think they should be doing.
Exactly.
And that even comes to bridal party. Like,
Mhm.
I have been seeing more and more ceremonies where there is no bridal party.
Mhm.
It's just solely the couple, or if they have children,
Mhm.
they'll get their kids involved. But for the most part, like, bridal parties have kind of dwindled down or non-existent whatsoever, and they just have all of their guests and their friends and family there to enjoy. And
Mhm.
that's less stress.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I feel like coordinators and planners across the board are getting more credit. Not even credit as much as like recognition, and how much we do even help on the day of, especially. Um, but I would say, as you're formulating budget, going kind of back to that budget point, but also adding in a line item for at least a day of coordinator, whether it be for an event or most importantly your wedding. Because what you have to remember is you're spending thousands of dollars And, for some of us are 1,000 at the low side and, a couple grand and up on the high side. But for the extra couple more thousand that you can spend to enjoy your day, not worry about, where X, Y, and Z is going, or this person's late, or that person forgot that, it is a lifetime of a difference, and some couples don't realize that they had needed one until it's too late or the day of. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And one of the things that, from the perspective of as the quote unquote cost saver, oh, mom will do this for me.
yeah.
Don't do this to your
No.
parents. Don't like it is as much of their day as it is your day as the bride, the groom.
Yeah.
It is so important. And I can't tell you how many times, like I've even heard people say, oh, well, we're going to not have a professional photographer and my friend is going to take the photos. Well, I can speak from experience during a ceremony where the best friend took the photos. There was no bridal party. The
Mhm.
best friend took the photos, and I literally stopped the ceremony and I looked at her because she wasn't taking pictures. She was actually crying along with the other guests because she was so emotionally attached to the actual ceremony
Yeah.
that she wasn't doing the job that she
Mhm.
was asked to do, and that's just not fair. It's just
Yeah.
not fair to your guests, to
Yeah.
your friends. Hire, like
Yeah.
literally hire somebody to
Yeah.
take care of that because they're not emotionally attached.
Yeah. Yeah. They're just get in, do their job, and head out. They're not.
Yes.
I
And
will say, there have been definitely a few times where I've been teary eyed, but I'm not like bawling.
yeah.
And I'm not trying to take pictures.
Well, and there's been times I cry during the ceremony too. So it's like when you feel those emotional
Yeah.
ties, it's, that's one thing. But when you've been asked to take on a role, if you don't want to do it, don't feel obligated. And
Yeah.
honestly, couples, don't
Yeah.
ask your friends or your family members. Just
Yeah.
please stop. Don't.
Yeah. Don't.
Well, Miranda, is there anything else you'd love to share as far as things, tips, tricks, anything that you feel that the audience may be needing to know?
Hmm. I think just enjoying the planning process, and remember why you're here. Remember why you loved or why you love the one that you're going to get married to or have an event for. Don't let the details and the stressors of the planning process, or you know not even outsiders, but just other people, kind of stray your way and how you think about the whole process, but do it because you want to do it and how you want to do it, and don't let, it kind of stray, and we've been seeing a lot, and I know you've seen them too, but a lot and a lot more elopements or just smaller ceremonies, and people will just do a fun like reception. That's okay too, But yeah, just remember, why. Remember the why. So,
Absolutely. I think that's so important. Remember the why.
mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Miranda, I thank you. I'm going to show your website here once more, Miranda Madison Events. And again, my name's Amy Stevens. I'm a wedding officiant. You can check out my information at azweddingsbyamy.com.
Mhm.
And if you happen to see this later on social media and have any other questions, Miranda will be tagged in the social media posts. So feel free, just hit hashtag replay, ask your question, and we will get right back to you and be able to answer and any of those specifics that can direct you that way. Miranda, thank you so much for taking time out and talking with us about event planning and wedding planning.
Of course. Thank you for having me.